Well, we made it out here to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. We are at the Adams County Historical Society. We made it out here to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm currently at the Adams County Historical Society, a word apparently I can't get right. Well, we made it out here to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and we are currently at the Adams County Historical Society. Shit. So we made it out here to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm currently at the Adams County Historical Society. The Beyond the Battlefield or Beyond Gettysburg Museum is right behind me here. And this is one of those locations where you can come in and get a real good experience, not only seeing artifacts, but kind of a hands-on deal, really. Historians are constantly in here, along with authors and other significant figures within the Gettysburg area. And it's just a stone's throw away from the actual battlefield itself. Matter of fact, it's in the middle of the battlefield. You can walk from here right over there and go down the road and just check out history as you go along. I highly suggest stopping by here to this museum and checking it out, and kind of making this almost like a visitor center before you go to the actual National Park Visitor Center. It's a great place to be. We're going to check out all the stuff we got going on today, and I'm going to bring it to you live here from Gettysburg.
We asked JD what we should use because the clips we were using didn't work out too well. We at the Adams County Historical Society are pretty much like any county historical society all across the country. So I think at heart, the historical societies are about people doing genealogy. You probably know they became popular around the centennial of the United States, where perhaps mostly little old ladies were interested in their grandfather's service in the American Revolution. And, you know, they started genealogical societies. Now, our historical society also doubles as sort of the county archives. And, you know, there are many societies like that where you don't have a separate county archives and a separate historical society work together. And so we hold all the county records, like the deed books, the estate papers of everyone who's died in Adams County, and the tax records from the county. So people can come to our facility and do genealogy in their family, but also research their property through the tax records and the deed records, or individuals that, you know, have passed away in the county. And fortunately for us, we have all the county newspapers that were given to us long ago by one of the publishers in Adams County. So now a lot of those are on microfilm, and you can get on one of the digitized archives like newspapers.com and look at them, but we have the originals here. And besides that, we just have a wealth of things that have been collected from people in our county dealing with the Battle of Gettysburg, and specifically the civilian experience during the Battle of Gettysburg.
Very neat.
So let's, we'll go in front of the books, and I can tell you a little bit about how that ties into the museum. You can cut it up however you like. Some people can, I always liked it doing it here because you can recognize some Gettysburg books. Don't you do that when you're seeing, when there's a historian being interviewed, you want to see what they have on their particular shelf?
Oh, absolutely. We definitely get questions like that all the time when we're doing live streams too.
Okay. So I don't know, maybe I have, but I don't know that I've seen your, because it sounds pretty unique. Waffles and history.
Yeah, history with Waffles. So
history with Waffles.
With Waffles. So I'm Waffles.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
I watch a ton of YouTube channels.
Yeah.
But since I'm a historian, I don't always watch all the historian stuff. I watch everything Gary does. I have to see what he's saying.
Yeah.
And JD, I watch most of his stuff.
Yeah.
But I watch paleontology.
Okay.
You know, anthropology, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, I like to watch volcano videos, like volcanoes in Iceland.
Wow.
I don't know if you have like stuff you like to watch on YouTube. Then
yeah,
I watch
I watched a lot of JD's stuff back during the pandemic and stuff like that. I'm mostly into really the American Civil War.
Wow.
And I do get into a little bit of nature, things like that.
Yeah. And you know, I definitely, when I watch these blogs, it's hard for me being knowledgeable about the Battle of Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I'm always complaining about, you know, there's either ghost videos or there's somebody saying 50,000 men died during the battle instead of 50,000 men killed, wounded, captured, or missing.
Right.
Little details really get me.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'm kind of interesting. I'm kind of interesting in the fact that I'm not from here originally. So just like everyone else, my interest in this area started with the Battle of Gettysburg. I'm a native of Baltimore, and we used to come here, and I was really into the battle, and I started to learn about the battle, and I moved here, became a licensed battlefield guide, and for 30 years, I basically took 5th graders and 8th graders around the battlefield and taught about the battle. And one thing from a national perspective I've learned is that I wanted the Battle of Gettysburg to be something that meant something to the people who were coming here. And I wanted them to feel some kind of bond to what happened here. So I noticed that sometimes history can be something that happened to other people far away.
Right.
And so what I would do with my 5th graders or 8th graders, or just a normal couple in a car from Chicago, is I would find out where they were from. And of course, it's easier with a group of 8th graders because they're all from one school and they're from one city or from one county. And I got really good at telling stories about people from their town that were in the Battle of Gettysburg. And, you know, since school groups come year after year and they're coming from the same places, like I usually knew where the county was from. And there's a lot of resources that we have about each of the regiments at the Battle of Gettysburg and what towns they were mustered in and what towns you know, they came from. So I could often point out units that had the name of their town or county on the back of the monument. And it's one thing when people come here and you're like, oh, you're from New York, here's the New York State Monument. But it's another thing when they're from Poughkeepsie, New York, and you take them to the Dutchess County Regiment, and it says it right on it. And then, especially if they're from Pennsylvania, I could take them to the Pennsylvania Monument, show them a company from their town, and look, time and time again, I've had groups of school kids standing in front of a list of names from their town, and they recognize names because they're people whose ancestors, you know, are in their group and people that are, that the names still exist in their town. So I used to do that. And then of course, you know, for a long time, I've worked here at the Adams County Historical Society. But, you know, in the old days, it was just a part-time job. Yeah. I've worked here since the 1980s, and I'm the oldest continuous employee by a lot. So here, I've always understood that, sure, we have a lot of stuff on the Battle of Gettysburg. I collect books on the Battle of Gettysburg. You see a lot of books on the Battle of Gettysburg behind me. But also, we have a resource of local histories. And we have perhaps 300 accounts of people who were here during the battle in newspapers, in diaries. Some of those accounts are letters written after the battle, little booklets published by the local people. And what I think that our strength is here is from these accounts, we can tell the story of the Battle of Gettysburg from the perspective of the people who lived here at the time of the battle. And one of the reasons that this is fascinating, especially for kids, is let's say you go on the battlefield tour and they talk about, oh, there were young soldiers. I just saw a post that somebody made about how there were, you know, thousands of 12-year-olds in a battle who were buglers and drummer boys, and many of them were killed. And I left some notes in the comments about how that was not true, that no 12-year-olds were killed at the Battle of Gettysburg, right. And very few drummer boys or buglers were in the battle. Right. They pulled those people out. So when we have young kids and you're trying to make a point to them about kids being in the battle, it's not exactly true. But there were young kids in the cellars of their homes all around town. And the battle passed over their homes, and it were young people that came out of their homes after the battle and saw the debris of battle that was everywhere and the dead soldiers and helped with the wounded soldiers. So the civilian story of the battle, I think, appeals to a larger public than soldiers fighting in the battle. And again, our main purpose is to try to get people who come here to have some feel that the battle involves people like them, or people that are related to them, or people that are from the town they live in. It's not a faraway place with a distant story. Yeah, I don't know if I think so much about what kind of impact I'll have on Gettysburg historiography. There are other people besides me that have influenced the way that I try to present history over the years. And I do my best to carry on the tradition that those people taught me, including the former director of the Adams County Historical Society, 3 directors ago, Dr. Charles Gladfelter. And I think that people express an attitude often that history is boring, that it's just a bunch of facts and dates, and you hear this all the time, and it's not interesting enough. So I really try to get people to be as accurate as possible. And I think that some people believe the only way to make people interested in the battle is to fictionalize the history. Yeah. And I think there's a place for facts and dates and specific correct information in our discussion, and you can also make it fun. I think being a tour guide over the years and talking to young people or just people in general and the public to come here on tours, there's a tendency for tour guides to make the battle entertaining. And I think that sometimes people are taken aback if on my tour I tell a joke about Jenny Wade, right, the only civilian killed during the battle. Yeah. And of course, for your viewers that don't know, my best joke that I tell on my tours is, why was Jenny baking bread for the soldiers? Because she needed the dough. And, and some people think it's kind of sacrilegious of us to make jokes about what happened here at the battle. But, one thing I've always tried to do is get people to like and enjoy their experience at Gettysburg so that they will return and will acknowledge that Gettysburg is important. And I think that's what we all do. We understand, well, the people who live here, that Gettysburg is about tourism, yeah, and we're bringing tourists here. But, we also understand that there's an important lesson that people can learn about Gettysburg while they're here.
Lost all the manufacturing and everything.
But you still got community.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Here's one day. Is that Jeff sitting over there?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Let's see. What do we? I think Chris and I will split up.
What's the most important thing or aspect of your career that you've learned throughout your entire career? If you could narrow it down to one or maybe a couple, what would be the most important thing?
I think that when I was younger and I read books about the Battle of Gettysburg, and I started to realize that some of the books were not as well written as other books, or some books had more misinformation in them than other books. I think that for me personally, being a historian, that the ability to read history and to read different accounts and pull these accounts together into a narrative and remain true to the facts of the story is one of the more important things that I learned. And how to evaluate sources written on the battle. There's massive amounts of conflicting information about the specific details of regimental movements on the battlefield. And we have the official reports of the battle. We have the accounts of the generals that were in the battle and the colonels in charge of all the regiments. But you have to understand that no one wrote in their official report, I made a horrible decision and thousands of men died because of it, or I was a coward and I ran. They're not going to say that. So by comparing events and finding new accounts that exist on the battle and pulling them into the story, and hopefully, I've tried to, I think throughout my career, I'm more of a researcher than a writer, and I've tried to pull together information and share it with a great amount of people so that they can have a better understanding of what happened in the Civil War. And, it does pain me to see people try to twist history to suit their own agenda, whatever that agenda may be. And, it's fascinating to read what the soldiers thought about these different events that occurred.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tim, I thank you very much for your time. This has been amazing.
Well, it's a lot of fun to talk to your group of viewers.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. just had a conversation with Tim Smith about his career and about this museum here. It's called Beyond the Battle Museum here in Gettysburg. We're going to take you around inside and show you what they have to offer.
Shaped by powerful forces, mighty and minute, like K, great and small, hopeful. Then came the dream of a land where we Mary lived among the senators the rest of her life. She had 3 children, was one of the largest female landowners.
The Gazette, direct from Philadelphia. Get your freshest news, foreign and domestic. Stay here, Father. I will retrieve a call.
Well, if it isn't the old Scot, Mr. James.
I'll fight till my last breath to be free of tyranny. Think of it. An American government.
At what price, son? You know not the horrors of war.
But, Father...
In 58, I helped.
The election of Abraham Lincoln led to the secession of 11 southern states and the start of the Civil War. Local men volunteered to fight, and for 2 years the war was waged on faraway battlefields. But in the summer of 1863, everything changed. The war came home. You may now enter Caught in the Crossfire.
We're about to step inside. It is dark.
John, did you see what's happening?
Remember those archives last night? Lower now. It was the rebels. And now the soldiers say they're coming. There's been a sharp fight out by Waffles Run. We must stay down here. It's the only safe place.
Pray, children. Pray we drive them back.
We'll be fine. Just stay calm and quiet. Our soldiers will drive them away. I'm certain of it.
Do you hear that? Sounds like there are people upstairs.
Who's up there?
Papa, that's Rex. He's outside.
Stay here. I'll fetch him.
There's Hannah. The doll's upstairs.
They told me to keep inside, all of us. The rebels are coming.
Mama, I'm scared. Be still, Hannah. We must be quiet. John, can we leave? Go someplace else?
Keep him quiet, boy. It's too dangerous. We must stay here, stay quiet. You can't leave until the soldiers tell us it's clear. There's fighting everywhere.
The Lord has shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures.
good stuff there.
I'm not asking for justice. I'm asking for mercy. I think that's what it is. We're required to seek justice and love mercy and walk humbly.
Micah 6:8.
Yeah. So, what is that from?
Micah 6:8 in the Bible, Old Testament.
I knew it was from the book. I wasn't sure which testament, but it's good enough to be in both. But that was the
very
main
quick.
But that was the main focus of our production, was to say at
Well, there's many places out here in Gettysburg that you can come and visit and get a pretty decent story and learn about the history of Gettysburg, learn about the people in the town. I highly recommend you go over to the Adams County Historical Society and talk to the folks over there. If you get an opportunity, speak to Tim Smith. He's one of the best historians I've ever seen. Certainly one of the brightest men I know. And this place is something special. The story of the civilians here in this town is worth noting. A lot of people focus on the soldiers that fought out here, but I think that the townspeople, their stories are just as important. I hope you've enjoyed our little tour here at the Whistler House, and we're going to push on down the road, see another one of these spots, see what else we can bring you. Till next time, this is History with Waffles.